Welcome back to the deep dive. We are really getting into something significant today. Looking at this source material, it tackles what many see as the biggest headache of the internet we use now. This kind of weird situation in Web 2. We're all connected, globally, fantastic. But the price. We've sort of given up control over ourselves online, our sovereignty.
Yeah, that's the essential starting point, isn't it? You can't talk about the solution without understanding the problem. And for, decades now, the way the internet has been built, it forced this trade-off. You want to participate? Fine. But hand over the keys to your digital identity. And that whole legacy setup, it's just endless passwords that are easy to break, right?
Yeah.
Huge databases full of our personal info, basically big targets saying, hack me. And let's be honest, business models that make money from our private information.
Exactly. You get the convenience, the connection, but you lose something fundamental, the right to actually own your digital self. But the sources we're looking at today, they're really optimistic. They argue this whole Web 2 thing, it was just setting the stage, a prelude.
A necessary, maybe painful prelude. And the next act, according to this material, hinges on the Universal Integrated Identity Decoupled, UIID. That's the system developed by Linkspreed. And importantly, it's not pitched as just, a slightly better login. It's framed as the solution, a definitive solution, they call it. It's a pretty bold claim. It's about regaining digital autonomy, total security.
Right, and that's our mission for this deep dive. We're going to unpack why UIE is being called this fundamental, non-negotiable core pillar for what's coming next, Web 4.
Yeah.
Because it's way more than just signing in easily. It's engineered, apparently, for top-level security, efficiency, and even this fascinating idea of existential portability, which sounds quite grand. They say it's the key to unshackling the digital soul.
And that phrase, unshackling, that really gets to the heart of Web 4's ambition. The whole goal is digital sovereignty, making sure that you, the user, have absolute inherent control over your digital life. Full stop. UID, because it completely rethinks how identity works from the ground up, offers that. Well, that quantum leap, as the sources put it, the leap in security and user control needed to build that foundation for the next internet.
Okay, let's dig in. We should probably start with the philosophy behind it all, because the tech seems to flow directly from that core belief system.
Absolutely. You have to start there. The entire UIID framework is built on this principle of self-sovereign identity, SSI. And that's not just jargon. It represents a really profound shift, a transfer of power.
Yeah.
And the sources say irreversible. Moving away from companies holding and controlling our identities towards a system where the individual you are the ultimate authority over your digital self, completely separate from corporate databases.
So practically day to day, what does that actually look like? This irreversible transfer of power for someone using it?
Well, it means you're the one in charge. You issue proofs about yourself, you manage them, you can revoke them. Think about Web 2. If you ask a platform to delete your email, you're basically trusting them to do it, right?
Right.
And who knows if they really do, or what shadow profiles they keep. With SSI, and UIID implements this, if you share, say, a credential proving you're over 18, you hold the cryptographic key to that proof. If you decide later, I don't want that site to know that anymore, you can revoke it instantly, globally, because the platform never actually stored the data itself. It just verified the credential you showed it in that moment. That control, that sovereignty.
And where does this power live? Where does the user manage all this? The material calls it the personal data universe, the identity vault. Sounds impressive.
The identity vault is the cornerstone, technologically speaking. It's your digital wallet, basically, but described as a state-of-the-art bastion because it's designed to be super secure and, crucially, local to you. On your device, under your control, this is where your actual digital identity elements are kept. Specifically, the cryptographic keys for your main UIID Core ID and all those important verifiable credentials, VCs.
Okay, VCs. Verifiable credentials. We hear that term a lot with decentralized ID. Let's quickly define what they are here in the UIID world.
Sure. VCs are just digital proofs of claims about you issued by someone trusted.
Yeah.
Think of your driver's license. The DMV issues it. It proves things like your age, address, right to drive. A VC is the digital version, maybe from a university proving your degree or a government agency proving your citizenship or a professional body proving your license. In UID, these are digitally signed using cryptography, so they can't be tampered with. And they let you prove specific things about yourself, like being over 18 or having a certain skill or owning a particular digital asset, often without revealing everything else. Selective disclosure.
And the real magic of having them in your vault is that you, the user, have that granular precision control. You manage them, you authorize their use, you decide exactly what gets shown, when, and to whom.
Exactly right. That self-management gives you perfect, crystal clear oversight, as the source puts it, total visibility into your interactions. And because you control the keys and the VCs, the whole system inherently blocks things like unauthorized data scraping or massive identity theft rings. Your info can't easily be harvested if the control panel is sitting right there in your hands on your device.
Now, inevitably, when we talk decentralized identity, DLT comes up. Decentralized ledger technology, blockchain, usually. The source material is clear. UID uses DLT, but they emphasize it's been sanitized for privacy. What does that mean?
That sanitization is really key to their approach. It shows a deep commitment to privacy, and it's a big difference from some earlier blockchain identity projects that, frankly, put too much on the chain. UID uses DLT, yes, but not to store personally identifiable information. No names, no addresses, none of that sensitive stuff on the ledger itself. Instead, the DLT functions purely as an immutable distributed engine for validation.
Wait, okay, if the sensitive data isn't on the DLT, how does it still provide that global trust? How does it guarantee uniqueness? What is being stored there then?
Good question. This is what they call cryptographic compartmentalization. It's clever. What goes on the ledger are things like cryptographic anchors and status proofs. Think of them as public keys and secure hashes, mathematical fingerprints. These allow anyone, anywhere, to check two crucial things really fast. First is this identity root, this core ID, globally unique. Has it been copied? The ledger anchor proves it hasn't. Second, is this identity currently valid? Has it been revoked by the owner? The status proofs on the ledger confirm its current state.
So the DLT is like a global notary's register. It confirms existence and status, but doesn't hold the actual content of the documents being notarized.
That's a great analogy. Exactly. It enables trust and non-repudiation, the certainty that an identity is real, valid, and belongs to who it claims, without ever forcing a privacy trade-off. No need to put PII out there, even encrypted, on a shared ledger. This specific implementation, this compartmentalization, is what they define as the definitive, non-negotiable standard of privacy by design.
Okay, let's unpack this. The structural genius is in how they split the identity. That's what it sounds like. Using DLT only for those anchors and status checks. Linkspreed seems to have cracked a core problem. You get global, verifiable trust through math, but without the massive risk and liability of storing everyone's personal data centrally or even decentrally on a ledger.
Precisely. Getting that decoupling right, separating the validation mechanism from the sensitive data storage, was the essential first step. And that success paved the way for the next big architectural innovation, which is really the main event of our deep dive today.
Which brings us squarely into Section 2, the dual-layered identity structure. And yeah, the material really paints this as the aha moment for UIID.
They call it a revolutionary, decoupled, two-tier identity architecture. And the goal was very specific.
Solve that paradox we started with, the paradox that plagued Web 2. How do you get high-trust, verified interactions where you need accountability, while also protecting absolute privacy and anonymity, the need for freedom and safety? They seem contradictory.
Until now, maybe. The solution, as presented, is these two distinct layers, linked cryptographically but functionally separate. Let's tackle the base layer first. A UIID Core, the unassailable master key of trust.
Right. And the core ID, this is your foundational digital root. It's singular. You only ever have one. It's non-transferable. It's designed to be that unassailable anchor of trust for the whole system. It can't be faked, can't be duplicated.
And to make it unassailable, they talk about the golden standard of verification, what's involved there. That means a mandatory, one-time, rigorous, know your customer process, KYC. You have to go through this verification to establish your core ID. It links your digital core ID definitively to your real-world identity in a way that meets high regulatory standards. This is crucial because it means the core ID is immediately ready for use in situations requiring high levels of assurance and compliance.
Okay, so we're talking about the serious stuff. Interactions where you absolutely need to know who you're dealing with, often for legal or financial reasons. Where would you actually use the core ID?
It's reserved specifically for those high-stakes scenarios. Think, making major global financial transactions, securely accessing e-government services like filing taxes online, maybe renewing official documents, or executing smart contracts that have real legal weight where you need absolute certainty and non-repudiation. It provides that instant certified proof for things that currently involve a lot of paperwork, delays, or insecure checks.
And that emphasis on singularity, only ever be one UID core per person, is key for that confidence, isn't it? Ensures accountability where needed.
Absolutely. It establishes that rock-solid foundation of trust. But, and this is the vital point, if you use that highly verified core ID for everything online, browsing forums, social media, shopping, you'd be right back to square one. Tracked everywhere, no privacy.
Which is precisely why the second layer exists. BUID alias, the cloak of infinite possibilities and dynamic defense. This sounds like where the everyday freedom comes in.
This is the game changer for privacy and flexibility. The alias layer is described as providing unparalleled freedom and absolute protective privacy. What it is, basically, is an unlimited supply of other identities you can create instantly. These aliases are independent, you can use them for specific contexts, and you can even rotate or discard them. They're generated on demand right from your identity vault.
Unlimited generation. Let's make that concrete for people listening. It's not just having a work profile and a personal profile, is it? It's more granular.
Much more granular. Think about it. You might have one alias specifically for professional networking on one platform, another totally separate alias for your online gaming community, a third alias you spin up just for joining a discussion forum about a sensitive hobby, maybe a fourth you use only for specific online shops you frequent. You can create as many as you need instantly. Each one is cryptographically distinct. This completely stops that dangerous habit from Web 2, where we reuse the same email or username everywhere, creating this massive, interconnected digital footprint that's easy to track and exploit.
Okay, but how are these aliases linked back to that verified core ID without just creating a new database linking them all up? That seems like the crucial privacy question. They call it the cryptographic shield of decoupling.
Right, this is the technical magic. The alias is linked to the core ID, but only through an incredibly advanced, mathematically sound cryptographic proof. Specifically, they use something called a zero-knowledge signature, or ZKS.
Zero-knowledge proofs, ZKPs. Okay, we need to pause here. This sounds critical. Can you break down ZKPs simply? How do they work in this context?
Sure. At its core, a zero-knowledge proof lets one party, let's call them the prover, that's you using your alias, convince another party, the verifier, say a website you want to log into, that they know something, or that a statement is true, without revealing the underlying information itself. In the UIID system, when you use an alias, the ZKS effectively proves, yes, this alias is legitimately linked to a unique KYC-verified core ID without revealing any details about that core ID.
So, imagine you have a secret key to a special club. A zero-knowledge proof would let you prove to the bouncer you have the key, maybe by showing a special token only key holders can get, but you never actually show them the key itself. They just know you must have it.
That's a perfect analogy. The ZKS provides that provable link, that assurance for the service provider. Okay, this isn't a bot, it's tied to a real verified person, but it does so without ever exposing the core ID or any of its associated details. It's mathematically guaranteed privacy for the core identity.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Because this decoupling, powered by ZK Tech, is what the sources claim makes Web 4 possible. They promise ironclad unlinkability and untrackability.
And that's not just marketing speak. It's a direct consequence of the cryptography used. First, an external party, like a website that accepts your alias A for login, cannot mathematically trace alias A back to find your core ID. The link is zero knowledge. Second, and this is just as important for privacy, that same website, or even different websites, cannot link your alias A used on service X to your alias B used on service Y. Even though you generated both from your single core ID, there's no cryptographic trail connecting them externally.
Wow, okay. So no more cross-site tracking, no building up those giant shadow profiles based on browsing habits across different platforms. If I use alias A for my serious professional life and alias B to, argue about sci-fi movies online, those two digital personas are completely walled off from each other by math.
Exactly. Your core identity integrity is preserved untouched. And you gain this incredible power to manage your context dynamically. This fosters what the sources call genuine, unmonitored expression. You can participate where you want, how you want, without that constant fear of everything being linked. So the aliases become your everyday tools. Secure logins, social media, shopping, whatever. All done with privacy baked in. Massive utility. Zero privacy liability for you.
All right, moving into section 3 then. We've got the structure. Core for trust, aliases for privacy and flexibility, all linked by zero-knowledge proofs. Now, what does this enable? The grand vision. UID isn't just an ID system in isolation. Its position is foundational for Web 4.
That's absolutely the pitch. UID is presented as the key piece of infrastructure needed to unlock the full, unbridled, and truly democratic potential of Web 4. Because Web 4, as envisioned, really demands this kind of modular, user-first environment. where identity isn't controlled by platforms anymore, but is this powerful utility wielded by the individual, as we discussed.
And one of the first big applications they highlight is how this revolutionizes social networks as a service, SNAS.
Right. So NOS, in this context, means a clean break from the old model, getting away from the big data-hungry walled gardens of Web2 social media. Think about it. For Facebook or Twitter today, managing user identity, securing all that data, dealing with fake accounts, compliance, it's a massive operational burden and liability. UIID effectively offloads that entire problem from the platform.
So if I'm a developer wanting to build a new social app, I'm liberated. I don't need to build complex login systems, store passwords, worry about huge data breaches of personal info.
Exactly. The sources call it developer liberation. You can focus purely on building the cool social features, the community tools, whatever your app actually does. All that heavy liability-laden work of identity management is handled by the UIID framework itself, by the user's own vault.
And for the platform, the utility is frictionless.
How does sign up or login work then? Super simple. The platform just requests verification of a UII alias. Your vault provides the zero-knowledge proof.
Boom.
The platform instantly knows it's dealing with a unique, verified root user without ever needing to ask for, collect, store, or protect any sensitive PII like name, email, birth date. This is huge because it fundamentally eliminates the massive data liability that constantly hangs over Web2 companies. The platform becomes inherently safer and simpler to run.
And for the users, the community itself, this alias structure seems like it would boost integrity. Using specific aliases for specific communities enforces that context separation.
Yes, that perfect dynamic separation of context and persona, it encourages better behavior, arguably. If your professional network alias is totally separate from your anonymous political debate alias, you're less likely or able to bring negativity from one space into the other. That cuts down on doxing, cross-context harassment, and that kind of thing. It eliminates, as they say, the existential threat of identity, cross-pollination, tracking, and profiling.
Yeah.
Which should lead to healthier online communities. This seems like a really significant potential contribution of UI to the future of SNAS.
Okay, besides social media, the other massive shift UID enables is the triumph of passwordless authentication, finally getting rid of passwords.
Oh yeah, the fragile, outdated password is the weakest link in so much of online security.
Yeah.
UI aims to completely eliminate it. Authentication shifts from guessing a secret word to proving something mathematically. It's based on those strong asymmetric key pairs the public and private keys manage securely within your identity vault.
Can you walk us through that passwordless login flow again? How does it work securely without me typing anything secret into the website?
It's an instantaneous, highly secure, cryptographic challenge and response transaction. It sounds fancy, but it's pretty slick. 1, you click Login with UID on a website. 2, the website generates a unique one-time challenge, basically a random piece of data. 3, it sends this challenge to your UIID identity vault, usually on your phone or computer. 4, your vault uses your private key, which never leaves your device, to mathematically sign that specific challenge. 5, the vault sends the signed response back to the website.
And the website can instantly verify that signature using your public key, which is safe to share.
Precisely. The website uses your public key, which might be linked to your alias anchor, to check the signature. Since only your private key could have created that specific signature for that specific challenge, the website knows with mathematical certainty that it's really you. And notice, no shared secrets are ever transmitted. Your private key stays safe. The password itself doesn't exist to be stolen, guessed, or phished. It creates this incredibly strong, fortified identity layer. Essential, really, for anything involving value or trust online in the future.
It really does sound like UIID is positioned as the core, the indispensable tech foundation for everything Linkspreed is building towards with Web4.
It absolutely seems to be the bedrock. Their whole vision appears predicated on user sovereignty, and UID is the engine designed to deliver that. Decoupled, flexible, cryptographically secure. It feels like they're aiming to set the new global standard for decentralized identity.
Okay, let's bring this all together then. Section 4, proof of concept and synthesis. This isn't just on paper, right? They've built something.
Correct. The source material confirms an initial proof of concept, a POI, was successfully built and tested. Its main purpose was to validate those core innovative mechanisms, specifically proving that the core alias separation works as designed and demonstrating that the passwordless login is indeed fast, secure, and user-friendly. So that early version served to confirm the architecture is sound and the user experience is viable, even superior.
And for listeners who want to see it, the sources point to a specific site, willid.linkspreed.com. That's iliad.linkspreed.com. They describe this POI site as the undeniable, ambitious blueprint for the whole UIID ecosystem, showing off the instant alias generation, the unbreakable crypto authentication.
Yeah, it's where you can get a tangible feel for it. And seeing it work helps grasp that concept of existential portability we mentioned earlier.
Right, existential portability. Let's circle back to that. What does it really mean in this context?
It means your core identity, your verified credentials, your reputation proofs. They're no longer locked into one platform silo. They belong to you, in your vault. So you can take them with you, move across different services, different platforms, maybe even into future virtual worlds or metaverses, without starting from scratch every time. You don't need permission from platform A to use your credentials on platform B. Your digital self is no longer tethered to any single corporation. It's portable. It exists independently.
So what does this all mean, pulling it all together?
Well, the takeaway from the sources is pretty clear. The UIE project is framed as this huge step forward, an epoch-defining declaration, they say, of user rights and empowerment. It's presented as the necessary framework, sustainable, secure, sovereign, for Web4 to actually work and flourish. Because it's decoupled, flexible, and based on solid cryptographic proof, it seems to solve that central identity problem that held Web2 back. It's aiming to create a truly human-centric internet built on actual trust and privacy.
Setting the highest standard for decentralized identity, making sure that everyone online can finally operate with confidence and control.
And the genius, if it works as described, is that dual structure. The core allows for real-world accountability and high-trust interactions when needed, while the aliases provide that essential layer of privacy, anonymity, and freedom for everything else. You get both.
Which really brings us to the end of this deep dive into the Universal Integrated Identity Decoupled system by Linkspreed. It's fascinating stuff. It genuinely feels like watching the groundwork being laid for a pretty fundamental shift.
It does feel that way, and arguably it's a shift that's been needed for a long time.
Okay, before we wrap up, let's leave everyone listening with that final provocative thought, building on especially that alias idea. If your digital identity is completely decoupled, if it's untouchable by third parties unless you explicitly allow it, and if it's infinitely flexible like this, what kinds of things, maybe social interactions, maybe commercial ventures that were just too risky or impossible before? What becomes possible now?
Exactly. Think about hyperlocal P2P commerce, where trust is needed, but you don't want to share your life story. Or maybe new forms of truly pseudonymous yet accountable online governance. Or just entirely new ways to express yourself or build communities that could only exist when the user truly holds the master key, not the platform. That sense of boundless potential, unlocked by taking back control. That seems to be the core promise UID aims to deliver for Web4.
Definitely something to think about. A lot to mull over until our next deep dive. Thanks so much for joining us today as we explored the source material. We'll catch you next time.